He's not free to go about and do what he wants to do. For the next, 89 months or thereabouts, he's going to be under the control of the federal government. And that's no little thing for a guy like this.
I've interacted with him. I've worked on the facility with him. I've conversed with him. Not in-depth conversation, but he's very respectful. He's well aware of his surroundings. Nothing really matters anymore.
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, he's very high profile.
Yeah.
Former inmates, criminal lawyers, and even prison guards are already guessing how tough life behind bars will be for Diddy. Word is, he got jumped at MDC and nearly stabbed, meaning there's a big target on his back. And the heat's only turning up. The people he wronged and the crimes he committed are now catching up fast. And even if he makes it out, freedom won't come easy. The new list of post-release rules he's gotta follow just dropped, and if Diddy slips up even a little, he's headed straight back inside.
Here's the thing. Diddy is symptomatic of just power gone awry. He's going to have to register as a sex offender. And he'll probably have to do that for 10 years. And if he doesn't, guess what? That's a separate crime altogether. So this can follow him. So if you're thinking, oh, Diddy got off, blah, blah. Well, his lawyers did a good job. And, he still has the right to appeal his conviction and his sentence. It ain't going to go anywhere because the evidence of the Mann Act violations were overwhelming. He's now tagged with 2 felonies. He's not free to go about and do what he wants to do. For the next, 89 months or thereabouts, he's going to be under the control of the federal government. And that's no little thing for a guy like this. So here's what supervised release is going to be like for him. It'll be intense at first. They'll drug test him. They'll put monitoring software on his devices. They will, they'll have constant meetings and check-ins and that kind of thing once he gets out of prison. And as time goes on and he demonstrates compliance, the supervision will get less and less intense, probably to the point where he just has to call in once in a while. But if you get too complacent and all of a sudden, you don't register, or all of a sudden, porn's an addiction, right? And, if you're looking at porn all the time, guess what? It's tough to stop that. It just is. And I've known clients that have, violated their conditions over and over again, and they wind up going back to prison. Now, Diddy seems to me like he's got some discipline. He knows where he wants to be, where he doesn't want to be. And I don't think you're going to see too much trouble with Diddy. I just don't think you're going to. But very well could be that he doesn't follow the rules. And, the first violation could be like 18 months. The second violation could be this, Or he could be demonstrating such good compliance that
Diddy gotta stay on the sex offender registry for the next 10 years, even after he walks out of prison. That alone is about to make his life way harder than it already is. The same freedom that once turned him wild is now completely stripped away, and if he slips up even a little, the feds won't hesitate to throw him right back behind bars. His whole world is about to flip upside down. This sentence is going to hit him like nothing else. No more free coughs. That era's done.
He still has to register as a sex offender. He still has to do all these different things. Even after he's off of supervised release, he'll still have to register. And if he goes to Miami, because his home's in New York, he's got to check in with the local sheriff and say, hey, sex offender in town, that's what he got to do. I mean, this is not an easy thing for him to have to deal with down the road. But is it life in prison? No, it's not. Is it 20 years in prison? No, it's not. Is it even 10 years? No, it's not. But it's still going to be something he has to deal with. So it's no little thing that he is part of this community of people that have to be supervised, and he gave the government a big foray into controlling his life. And that's what happens when you decide.
According to ex-mobster Michael Franzese, Diddy's only real lifeline inside is his money. He can use it to buy friends and keep himself safe. In the coming weeks, the Bureau of Prisons will lock in his new location, and wherever he ends up, protection won't come cheap. Diddy's still sitting on $1 million, and that's both a blessing and a curse. Some inmates will buddy up for the cash, while others will see him as an easy target.
Is the camp the lowest security and therefore more paddle and tennis and all the other things and what they call Club Fed or Camp Cupcake?
Yeah, they moved me to a camp by accident at one point, and there's no fences or anything like that. And I wasn't there for too long because they realized they made a mistake and put me back in the medium security. But they tell you when you get there, listen, there's no fences. If you want to leave, you can leave. But when we catch you, we're going to add another 5 years onto your sentence. And while I was in that camp for 2 months, each month somebody ran away. I mean, they always try to do that. But yeah, he's thinking of that. Yeah, he's thinking of that. But a medium security is not that bad.
Let me quickly go back though. Go back to that piece about he's high profile, so he won't get a camp. Why wouldn't he? I thought in a camp nobody's going to shank him because again they want out.
The overriding factor there, I believe, is he's a guy with a lot of money. And I'll tell you, this happened to me when I went in there because of the profile I had, because of the way they wrote me up. I had everybody and their brother inmate trying to do a deal with me when I got out, a business deal. They need money. Because of the fact that he's a money guy, I think he's going to have more friends than he will enemies. And in a medium security, normally nobody's looking to shank you. When you get into the higher institutions, when people are doing, a ton of time and there's no way you can benefit them, then you got a little more problem. But in a medium security, I don't think he'll have an issue at all. I really don't. He can be too much of a benefit to inmates that are always looking for something. And he could be a golden ticket for some people, at least in their mind.
Dieties. Lawyers just sent a letter to the judge, asking that he be sent to Fort Dix, saying it's close to New York so his family can visit. But let's be real, that's not the full story. The real reason Diddy's eyeing Fort Dix is because it's a low-security facility with a drug treatment program that could work in his favor. The prison runs the RDAP program, a tough 500-hour 9-month substance abuse course. If Diddy finishes it successfully, he could shave up to a full year off his sentence. And you can bet that's exactly what he's aiming for.
I only have a little bit of time left. I got to switch gears real quick to Diddy. So he is asked to be sent to a low security prison out in New Jersey for where he will serve his, prison term. 4 years, served already 1, so 3, maybe out in 2.5. Do you think he's going to get that request? Do you think he's going to serve it at this low security prison in New Jersey?
It seems like the logical place for him to go. I mean, you've got, based on all of the factors and everything else that goes into the Bureau of Prisons, when they get the file, so to speak, they get the PSR, which is the pre-sentence report. They have a certain criteria, and a lot of that criteria has to do with geographic location and then the severity of the sentence and the charges. All of that would tend to lean towards the placement at this New Jersey facility. So I would say on a bell curve, 80%.
Diddy has to stay on a strict offender registry for the next 10 years, even after he walks out of prison. That alone is about to make his life way harder than it already is. The same freedom that once turned him wild is now completely stripped away. And if he slips up even a little, the feds won't hesitate to throw him right back behind bars. His whole world is about to flip upside down. This sentence is going to hit him like nothing else. No more parties. That era's done.
It's all pretty par for the course, pretty standard.
Yeah, so look, a lot of these conditions sound pretty harsh, but they're pretty standard. Things, as you mentioned, like no contact with victims, also no contact with other criminals, no access to firearms, also unsupervised, or visits, drop-in visits from probation officers at any time, mandatory employment. So many of these are standard. But what I do think is notable is the addition of required treatment programs. And it's not just one, right? It is domestic violence, but also drug abuse and also mental health. The reason why it's so notable is because we all remember the defense described this as a modern love story. And even though Combs was acquitted of the most egregious charges, it's really a message from the court saying there's really still something that is not right here. There's treatment that is required. There's issues that need to be resolved.
Can you tell us a little bit about his living conditions? Because I know that he's currently in Brooklyn, but he's actually asked to be moved to a federal facility. Why? What would that do to his living conditions?
Okay, so So very specifically, he's requesting to be moved to Fort Dix, to a low security prison. So that would very much improve his living conditions from where he is in Brooklyn. So this low security prison is more like a dorm-like setting and also has a specific drug abuse treatment program that he's requesting to be a part of. And sometimes people who go through this program successfully can get time off at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, Angela, we also know that Diddy is going to be required to work 30 hours a week upon his release. Do we know if that's like, he can just do whatever he wants? He's the owner, obviously, of a company, CEO, or is this something that the state or the courts are going to mandate?
So this is interesting. It is pretty standard, and the legal language is work conscientiously at suitable employment. So that doesn't mean that the government can tell him what job to do, but it does mean that the probation officer can veto what he chooses. And the real point here is access and rehabilitation and not a lot of free time, requiring structure. So given that his employment is generally self-employment and a lot of free time, it's not clear here how the probation officer will respond to that, what sort of restrictions they will put. But yeah, the probation officer can say this is not okay.
Diddy was reportedly terrified and even broke down in tears after hearing his sentence. He's scared of what other inmates might do to him once they learn about his past. Usually, people don't get prison time for violations like his. But Diddy got 4 years because of the level of violence tied to his actions. He's already come close to being attacked once, and now he's doing everything he can to avoid another close call.
Is he safe though? And you say something about him getting stabbed?
I was going to say, Diddy's team is saying no, he's not going to be safe, because in court we found out that there was an attempt on Diddy's life, that there was a man that attempted to shank him, but they stopped it, the correctional officers. And they say Diddy didn't even want people to know that he didn't want to make it a big deal. But of course they're having that conversation about will he be safe because of who he is and how high profile this case is.
Right.
They're also having a conversation. Mark Geragos is a high profile attorney, a friend of Diddy's, but also the dad of Teeny Geragos, who led Diddy's defense about Diddy potentially being in court. And we can and just attacks on his life, because they say that people look at him as like a trophy or a prize, and to do something to him.
Well, what if other inmates hear all of the stuff that we've been hearing in the news all of these weeks, and they scared of Diddy?
That's not how they presented it. I don't.
That's crazy to say Diddy's a trophy. Like, he's looked at as a trophy in jail is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
But even more, Charlamagne talking about the inmates going to be scared.
The lawyers, when they were speaking on Diddy being in prison and the circumstances him being in prison, I didn't never hear about this, and nobody ever said anything about this. And I want to know if it's in the prison records. They said one of the guards stopped a dude from shanking Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail, and they was talking about he was all the inmates loved him and they was employing him and doing standing ovation. I wonder what inmate was trying to shake him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans, or that was one of Biggie fans? Because they said that the guard, they said that in court. One of the lawyers, one of the guards stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bruh. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never, that didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, you know, he ain't got to worry about nothing. And what's crazy is this, he got to worry about something now. You understand? Because he thought he ain't have to worry about nothing, because he thought he was going to a speaking engagement. They was that bold enough to be setting up speaking engagements as if he was going to get out of jail.
Former inmates who faced charges similar to Diddy's have said that if word gets around about his past, other prisoners won't go easy on him. Diddy's deeply anxious about what life in general population might look like. Even during his time at MDC, he mostly stayed in protective custody and under close watch to keep him safe.
What this guy did is disgusting. I don't think there's a person alive, a man or a woman, especially women, who are not going to hate this guy. Whatever he did was completely disgusting. It's beyond criminal. I don't even know what it is. I look at it like he disgraced everybody. He disgraced the black race by being a black man. I know a lot of black people, and they hate him for it because it painted a picture towards all of them. I think it's being followed all over the world. If he's not found guilty, or he's cut free, or he does a short amount of time, I mean, I could only imagine what the whole world would think. This is a disgusting country.
Guys in the mob did some terrible, terrible things. The murders were gruesome and violent and painful, and they served a purpose. They were meant to terrify people into staying in line, right? Compare that to the things that you've heard alleged from the witness stand and testimony under oath from a lot of these young women and some of the young men who were his assistants. Compare the guys in the mob to the stuff you're hearing alleged against Diddy.
If we did that in the mob, we would be killed for it. We would never touch women and children and stuff like that. So that's against our rules, our principles. We would never get away with something like that. There was a guy, Roy DeMeo and Gas Pipe, who became serial killers, killing for no reason, and they were killed. So, I mean, if he was in the mafia, he would, and we knew what he was doing, he would have been killed. There would be no.
Gene Deal, who's worked in the prison system, says that guys like Diddy usually don't last long behind bars. Even though Diddy's only expected to serve about 2 years, mentally he's nowhere near prepared for it. If things get rough, he might start to lose control. During his sentencing, it was obvious he wasn't in good shape. His hair had gone white, and he looked like he'd lost a lot of weight.
Because you told me he was suicidal. That's why I asked.
Everybody's suicidal when they first go to prison. Everybody's suicidal. If you've never been to prison before, you've never been behind bars, everybody is suicidal. Then you get used to it. It becomes your livelihood. You learn how to stay alive. You got a crust of bread in the corner to sleep in. Everything else is a blessing.
But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bro. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Almost certain that Diddy was paying inmates for protection while he was locked up at the MDC. 15 prisoners even wrote letters to the judge supporting him, which definitely raises eyebrows. Are we really supposed to believe that Diddy, after everything that came out about him, suddenly became everyone's favorite guy inside? And let's not forget, one inmate already tried to attack him. Something about the whole situation just doesn't add up.
Bit crazy that yesterday we had Diddy talking about how horrible the jail was, how much violence there was, and how he was even threatened in jail, to today him having 15 prisoners send letters to the judge to help him get free during his sentencing hearing. And honestly, I think it's crazy that Diddy has 15 prisoners that were willing to write him letters, but none of the famous people that rock with him for years have sent in any. I mean that seriously. The only person of notable fame name that sent in a letter for Diddy in these character letters is literally Carisha. Just yesterday, we finally found out exactly how Diddy is saying that he was threatened by an inmate, but it's not exactly written how you would think. Diddy claimed yesterday an inmate approached him with a shiv and told him something when he was sitting on a chair that inmate wanted to sit on. But Diddy is also saying in this motion he's been so reformed in jail that he didn't react when usually he would, and that was able to diffuse the fight. Now today, Diddy has submitted 15 letters from 15 different inmates that are saying how amazing he is and how they are changing his perspective, and he is helping their time in prison. Diddy is actually a tutor in jail, and some of these inmates are talking about their experiences with Diddy being a tutor. Because of this class, I have purpose, something to look forward every day. Then another one says, he showed us that it's little adjustments to our everyday lives that add up to a big change. Mr. Combs' class is about setting up realistic goals and where we plan on going to achieve and complete these goals on a weekly basis. We review our progress of our stages on our objective. My life testimony is how positive Mr. Combs teaches us about how chasing the easy money is the wrong way to achieve greatness. He has shown me that it's never too late to start, nor is it ever too late to achieve your dreams. The free game class with Mr. Combs has affected me in a good way, as it has impacted me because I've learned many things like how to create a successful plan, and the plan has to be realistic. Another one says, I was really appreciative to receive some knowledge of some sort to take back to the real world and to not have to think about doing something.
Diddy is pretty fortunate to have walked away with just a 50-month sentence. That's less than a third of what the federal guidelines suggested. There's a good chance his fame and influence played a part in that. He wasn't charged for the guns found in his home. The drugs went unmentioned. And despite being caught on video and even admitting to violence, no assault charges were filed. And if all that wasn't surprising enough, word is that former President Trump is now floating the idea of a possible pardon for Diddy.